Hi, I'm Michael Doerrer, Director of Communications for FCPS. We've been working awfully hard to share a lot of information about the upcoming redistricting for the Linganore, Oakdale, Urbana feeder patterns. We have a website, fcps.org/LOU redistrict, and we have lots of information for parents, including frequently asked questions, an outline of the redistricting plan and timetables, and we've also been getting a lot of questions in from parents, and we've been making an effort to answer every single question we get in through social media and through email. However, some of the questions we've been getting require a little bit of expert attention. So we just happen to have three experts with us today. I'd like to introduce Dave KEHNE, principal of Urbana High School, Nancy Dahl, principal of Linganore High School, and Donna CLABAUGH, principal of Oakdale High School. Thank you for being with us today to answer some of the questions we've been getting from parents. So let's just kick it off. One of the most common questions we're getting from parents is, how can we ensure that our students are getting the same high quality education no matter where they go to school? We call this educational equity, but how can we make sure that our kids are getting the same curriculum and the same access to excellent instruction no matter where they go? So how do we answer that?
Well, I've worked for FCPS for over 22 years and really have had the opportunity to work at several different high schools and to middle school. And what I can tell you is the curriculum at every one of those high schools is the same. And so students do have the opportunity to take the same classes, the same level, the same rigorous studies at all of our high schools. And I think that's really important. Students who may need special education or 504 services have that same access at every high school too, and we are staffed in order to give that to students. And I think, you know, principals do a really good job just observing every day, hiring staff, making sure we have people in the building that can deliver that curriculum at every level.
Nancy, you've been in a lot of schools as well, so what does the idea of educational equity mean to you?
We give students the opportunities to register for their classes, so they have choices. That we start that process in January, and we have meetings with the parents. So we look at see what students are interested in, and that's how we base our master schedule. We also look at each student individually. They have the counselors are available to meet with them. We have the programs inside our schools, but we also have like the Career and Technology Center. We all have these options across the board. So we try to give students, we try to meet students whatever their needs are, we try to meet those needs.
And Dave KEHNE, you've been the principal at Linganore and now at Urbana, right?
Absolutely.
So the idea of getting the same high quality instruction, the same high quality education, from your perspective?
Well, as Donna mentioned, when it comes to curriculum, our teachers in all of our buildings work together both throughout the school year, but during the summer at very intense trainings. And at the high school level, because our courses are at such a high academic level, when teachers, for example, in my building have a question about their own curriculum, they turn to teachers, say at Oakdale or Linganore or any other building. And there's a lot of building-to-building communication among teachers of the same subjects. Nancy mentioned that in each of our buildings, students sign up for the courses they want to take. And I think it's important for parents to remember that each building is going to be slightly different because in some communities, certain programs are a little more popular than they are in others. But I have found at Urbana, just as I did at Linganore, students who want to take courses in other buildings often find principals facilitating that way. Each of our schools has a unique program to it. I know at Urbana it's the International Baccalaureate program, but at Linganore, Project Lead the Way serves engineering students. And Oakdale has a phenomenal leadership program. Coupled with this Career Tech Center, all of our students have great opportunities throughout Frederick County.
Let me pick up on that idea that all of our schools are unique and unique in different ways. Another common question we get is, what makes each school community, Linganore, Oakdale, Urbana, special? What makes them different? What makes them unique? So I guess another way of putting it is, what are you proud of about your specific school community? What do you think, Nancy?
Linganore has been around for a long time, so they have a very rich history. Although the building is fairly new, which is great, it is a community steeped in tradition. We do have a very strong Project Lead the Way program, which is our engineering program. We also have a very strong journalism program that's recognized at the national level. We have just a variety of things to offer students. Our arts program is very strong. I think, you know, these schools can say the same thing. But the thing is that we do offer them that academic rigor that they might be looking for, and we try to meet their needs in any way that we possibly can.
Dave, you mentioned Urbana has the IB. What else makes Urbana Urbana?
Well, in addition to the IB program, the student body at Urbana is a very international and diverse student body. And it's also a student body, many of whom have moved to Frederick County within the past 10 to 20 years. So there are lots of folks at Urbana who are eager to learn about things in our community as they've moved into the community. Urbana traditions, though not as long-living as, say, those at Linganore, are indeed firmly entrenched in celebrating academic achievements and in celebrating the arts as well as athletics.
So Donna, take a minute and brag on Oakdale. What makes Oakdale special?
Well, I think Oakdale, you know, we are in the kind of unique position. We're the newest high school in the county, and so a lot of traditions we're just really starting to build and solidify. And so you mentioned earlier we have our leadership program that the students are really proud of. And I think what's great about that leadership program is that each student does a leadership project, and it really is a service project. So I think it's funny that a lot of the community around Frederick County really knows Oakdale for sports, because we're in the paper a lot for that, especially we've had a really great successful year. But when I think about the students at Oakdale, what I really think about is service. Our National Honor Society does a lot of service projects. Our leadership program is based in service. And another thing that I think is unique about Oakdale is the number of dual enrollment classes that our students take. They do many classes via FCC at Oakdale. We offer that mainly because that's what the students want to sign up for, and they're very interested in that. And our AP courses and a lot of our music and arts classes are very strong at Oakdale. So I think just our well-roundedness and our, you know, sort of our mission over the next couple years to really find our way and establish ourselves is something that's unique about Oakdale.
Now, one of the harder questions we get, it's hard for me to answer, because there are so many different kinds of surveys that come out and different ways of ranking and measuring school performance. So one of the questions we've gotten is, how much stock should we, as parents, how much stock should parents place in the various kinds of rankings that come out about the schools? How do you measure one school against the other? What should we think about that as a school community and as a community of parents?
Well, I think as principals, we look at measurements that are educationally based, that are perhaps not those that people see in pop culture. We certainly put a lot of stock in looking at how we are serving all of our students compared to how we're serving particular student groups within our building, because we're all working to eliminate achievement gaps. When I look at things I see in the news about Urbana High School, often I do see Urbana at the top of lists that people want to see Urbana at the top of. But I also know that for any of the three of our schools, and having spent most of my career at Linganore, and knowing what principals see, I can identify data points where Oakdale is #1, I can identify data points where Linganore is #1, and I can identify the same for Urbana. I think in all three areas, parents can't make a wrong choice when they're considering where they're going to be, and ultimately, where the decisions are made, where those boundaries are, everyone is going to get a solid education and excellent preparation for a global society from any three of these high schools.
Any other thoughts on school rankings, or how I guess it depends on what you're choosing to measure, really.
And that's true, and I agree with Dave that we all work really hard to close the achievement gap. We all have very strong programs. We want our students to be successful in whatever they pursue, and you just can't make a bad decision in Frederick County Public Schools because we do have the same curriculum. We all focus on that curriculum and giving students the best education that we can give them.
I think sometimes with measurements, you know, you're getting that measurement every year, but it's a different group of students that you're measuring.
That's good.
So I think you need to take that into consideration, but also just overall look for consistency, that steady growth, improvement. Sometimes the targets for the measures change and the measures themselves change, but that's where we, as you know, high school principals, the measurements we do look at, we can't really lie about that, but it's that day-to-day interaction with your students and making sure they're getting what they need. And a lot of times that is reflected in the measurement and sometimes it's not, but our job is day-to-day. What do our kids need and how do we get that for them?
Well, I think that's a great way to sum it up. We've gotten a lot of questions from parents on social media, by email, and it was nice to be able to get the experts in to answer some of these tough questions. So I appreciate the time that each of you has spent with us. If parents have more questions as we move further through the Linganore-Oakdale-Urbana redistricting process, there are many ways you can engage: by email, by social media. And we have a number of events, in-person events, social media events. There are so many ways to engage. Check us out online, fcps.org/LOU redistrict, and thank you for joining us today.